lecturers, and hello everybody. We are students from class A3.3, and the purpose of our presentation today is to show all of you about the country profiles, which is named Philippines. Before we get into more detail, we would like to show you the four content that we would like to discuss. 1 is basic information, 2 economy, 3 diplomatic relations, and 4 the current issue or events in the Philippines. So without any further ado, let's start off with the basic information. As you already know, the official name of the Philippines is called the Republic of the Philippines. It had proclaimed its independence from the Spanish Empire on June 12, 1898, following the culmination of the Philippine Revolution. The capital city of the Philippines is called Manila. However, the biggest city of the Philippines is called Quezon City. According to worlddometers.information, the population in the Philippines right now is more than 113 million people. However, in 2020, the population is just 109 million people. The density in the Philippines right now is 368 per square kilometers, which is equal 952 people per mile. And there are more than 47% of the population are living in the urban. The Philippines ranks number 13 in the list of countries by their population in the global tour. Moving on to the area of the Philippines. So according to Land-Links.organization, Philippines is located in tropical and maritime with a total land 300,000 square kilometers. Moreover, it consists of 7,107 islands, which separate into 3 major island groups, which are Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. As for water or inland waters, it has only 0.61%. And there are 6.8 million hectares, which is a forest land, and it's equal 23% of all the total land in the Philippines. As for the official language, Philippines set Filipino as their national language and English as their second language. More than that, to add up to that, there are 19 languages that have been discovered in the Philippines. Spanish and Arabic is also organized in this country too.
My part, which is economy. So currently, the GDP of the Philippines is $425 billion, making the economy the world's 40th largest by nominal GDP. Meanwhile, in ASEAN, it is ranked in number 6 by nominal GDP. For GDP per capita, it is expected to reach $3,497 by the end of this year. The Philippines Statistics Authority reported today that the country headline inflation rate marginally slowed down to 8.6% in February. The unemployment rate in the Philippines increased to 4.8% in January. Here is my next point, which is major trading partners. Exports in Philippines account for nearly a third of GDP. Major exports of Philippines are electronic products, others manufacturers, wood, crafts, and furnitures. Philippines is also the world's largest producers of coconut, pineapple, alpaca. Philippines' main export partners are Japan, the United States, China, Hong Kong. Next, Philippines' major imports are electronic products, mineral fuels, and transport equipment. Philippines' main import partners are China, the United States, Japan, and Taiwan. Let's move on to my next point, which is important sectors. Services, industrial, and agriculture are main sectors of the Philippines economy. Food processing, cement, iron, steel production, and telecommunication are among the country's most significant contributors. The services sector makes an enormous contribution to the country's GDP at 61% and provides 57.6% of the country's labor force. Over the past years, the sector has expanded tremendously, particularly in telecommunication, business process outsourcing, and finance. The Philippines industry sector is second in GDP contribution with 28.4% and employs 19.8% of the total workforce. Among the country's major manufacturing activities are industrial food processing, cement, glass, chemicals, productions, and iron and steel manufacturing. Lastly, the agricultural sector's contribution to the GDP has continued to decline in recent years and is currently at 8.5%. However, it still provides employment for 25% of the labor force. Coconut, sugar, and rice are among the top agricultural products of the Philippines.
Next is about diplomatic relations, which consists of multilateral relations and key bilateral relations. First, let's start off with multilateral relations. So according to the European Union, or called as EU, the Philippines is firmly dedicated to liberalizing its trade and economy as well as to multilateral trade agreements. Also, the agreements offer discussion and collaboration on political issues such as the peace process, trade and investment, including custom facilitation and intellectual property rights, justice and security, and counterterrorism operations against terrorist organizations in the southern Philippines. As for UN, on 24 October 1945, the United Nations Charter was signed in San Francisco, California, with the Philippines as their member. In order to help the Philippines achieve its essential goals for development, peacekeeping, and humanitarianism, the UN supports and assists the government of the country. The UN system present in the country including World Bank, UNICEF, UNDP, UNESCO, UN Women, and the WHO. The roles of the UN for the Philippines are to ensure food security, climate change and risk reduction, disaster response and recovery, health, education, peace, and security. As you already know, the SDG, or the Sustainable Development Goals, are an international initiative to put an end to poverty, safeguard the environment and climate, and guarantee that everyone can live in peace and prosperity. All of this information in this section is still being updated and examined in the Philippines. Next is about the key bilateral relations. So in here, I would like to show you the relationships between EU and the Philippines, and another one is about the United States and the Philippines. So based on the European Union, the EU and Philippines Partnership and Cooperation Agreement, which is called PCA, went into effect on March 1st, 2018. With this agreement's approval legal framework, the European Union and the Philippines are able to improve their bilateral relationship, particularly in terms of political, social, and economic issues. The third EU Action Plan on Human Rights and Democracy 2020 to 2024 was adopted by the EU Council on November 19, 2020. This plan offers a new political roadmap that establishes the priorities for positioning the EU as a strategic and economic and truthful global actor seeking to defend EU values and interests. As for the US and the Philippines, the bilateral strategic dialogue, or called as BSD, between the United States and the Philippines serves as the yearly venue for future planning. The most recent BSD was held in January 2023 at Manila. This based on the US Department of State. With nearly $18.9 billion in goods and services exchanged in 2020, the United States and the Philippines enjoy a strong trade and investment relationship. The United States became one of the biggest foreign investors in the Philippines and also the third largest commercial partner of the Philippines too. As for a tax treaty and a bilateral framework agreement for trade and investment were both signed by the Philippines and the United States in 1989.
Well, the next point is the current issue in the Philippines. Right now, the most important issue in the Philippines is human rights issue. And for this part, I only brought up two human rights issues, which are drug war killing and red tagging. So drug war killing is the Philippine anti-drug campaign with the aim of reducing drug usage. It means that if the government identify or suspect that a person is using drug, they will get killed. During these anti-drug operations, the government reported that 6,252 individuals were killed from July 2016 until May 2022. However, after the newly elected president of the Philippines, Ferdinand Marcos Jr., took over the office, the government stopped releasing this statistic. According to the Third World Study Center of the University of the Philippines, they said that at least 90 people were killed within 3 months after Marcos became the new president. And this death toll does not include those killed by unidentified gunmen. And due to the public outrage and the fact that this has become a global concern, President Marcos announced in a public statement and during a meeting with foreign leaders that he would shift the focus of the anti-drug campaign that he inherited from his predecessor, Rodrigo Duterte, to rehabilitating drug users, while the use of force by police and government agents continue. Do you think by shifting like this, is it enough for him to express his commitments to improve human rights condition in the Philippines? And the next human rights issue is red tagging. So being red tagged means the government is accusing you of being a supporter of the communist insurgency or a New People Army fighter. And the Philippine government have been using this relic of the Cold War to beat the 52 years old communist insurgency. And the red tagging is usually done through a social media post or being called out in the government news release or a press conference. And this red tagging is not only for an insurgent, but the target have expanded to include an activist, journalist, and human rights defender. It sounds like anyone who dare to criticize the government can be red tagged. And being red tagged goes far beyond mere hateful rhetorics, because many of those who have been red tagged have been killed. And being red tagged means you are on the hit list. And a person who is red tagged also become a victim of getting raped, threatened, and etc. And these practices have become so widespread that people are protest against it. And these are the references that me and my teammates used to create these whole presentations. And thank you for listening and watching our presentation video.